All right, so I've got with me here one Samantha.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
All right, so what is the background color for the card you've chosen today?
It's blue.
All right.
I guess. Is blue your favorite color, Sam?
Yep.
I knew it.
Are there numbers at the top?
Yep.
What's at the top?
5.
5. Anything else?
Raindrop.
2. Raindrops. You got to say it so they can understand. Are there numbers at the bottom?
Yep.
Okay, what is it?
5 / 6.
5/6. Okay. And what is going on in that art?
Well, the sky is blue. There's some white clouds.
Clouds. Yeah,
In the
don't.
sky. Then there's gray mountains in the background. Then there's some water. Then there's a tealish sea serpent.
A tealish? So a teal colored?
Kind of blue. It's kind of teal.
Okay.
And then there's something in it that's kind of gold and blue.
Okay, and what's the sea serpent doing to that?
He's wrapping his body around.
Okay.
And his mouth's open, ready to eat it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Does he look like he's eating the sun?
Well, it's not.
This
Is that the sun that he's got?
Nope.
Does the serpent look like he's eating something bright?
It looks like he's about to eat it.
No,
And how
it's
would you
it's,
describe
repre-
it?
it's from Kaladesh, but I can't think of the name.
It is from Caladan.
Aether
can
Squall
see-
Ancient.
No.
No.
It's not the Ancient?
No.
Okay.
It is from Kaladesh. Chewie got that right. How would you
Yes.
describe this thing it's about to eat?
I don't know.
What colors is it?
It's red, white, gold, kind of.
I'm gonna have to cheat, aren't I?
I mean, red and yellow, blue, and kind of brownish, goldish.
Let's see here. Gear Seeker Serpent.
You got it. Good
Did I-
job.
I
Mr. Chewie.
knew it was that artifact, that serpent from Kaladesh, but I couldn't think of its name.
Why did you pick that card, Sam?
Because I like water, I like the color blue, and I like water animals.
All right. Well, that's good enough. Why don't you go ahead and say goodnight to everybody and you're off to bed.
Aww.
Say goodnight.
Good night, some Chewie.
Night, Sam.
Good night, Mr. Trimble.
Good night, Sam.
All right. I'll be right back.
Well, that was cute.
Yeah, when the way she was describing, I was thinking that it was the serpent or the Ancient,
Oh yeah, what were you?
because it met a lot of the requirements, but
What'd you call it? Aether Squall Ancient. What is that? Oh.
because it was thrashing, it had a little shiny. There was some like the background, and it was trying to trying to eat, and it met at the exact same cost. It said it was a sea serpent. I was
Yeah.
like, that looks like a serpent. It's serpent-esque.
Although she said it was a 5/6.
Oh, I had missed that part. I was in the middle of searching.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was yeah, I can see why you would think that. Look at that. Although she did say, when she said it was wrapped around something, it snapped into my brain. I could see the art.
Hmm.
Oh, how cute. Eating the sun.
That was why my question was, is it eating the sun? And everyone was like, But yeah, that's why that question came up. My question came up, that is.
Ow, jam! Hello again, and welcome to the Mana Pool. This is episode 485 of the Mana Pool, brought to you, as always, by, I don't know, like, the sweat of my brow and the skin of our teeth, or I forget what I was gonna say. It was gonna sound really cool, and then I screwed it up.
At least it's not the sweat of our teeth and the skin of our brow.
No, please leave your brow skin where it is currently located. Thank you very much. So, yes, I am Chewie. I have no idea what I'm doing, as should be clear by now. And with me, as always, are some dorks. Hey, dorks.
Hey, I'm Brian. I'm the lead rambler and tangent master, so I'm here to both keep us moving and to lead us astray. Paradoxy. But I'm here to interrupt too.
And I'm Mike, the rules guy. Sorry.
No. Try again, but with more beard.
Like way more beard.
There you go. That was the beard. I'm Dirk, the self-proclaimed greenest man alive and moral compass of the group. And I'm here to hopefully keep us... Well, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. No, I'm not. There's no way I'm going to keep us on track.
No. That would be weird.
And totally out of character for me.
Mike is currently missing in action. He is in exile. We're hoping that he will be able to remove the last time counter very soon.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, Michael joined us.
The only problem is that it's random, so we don't know how many time counters he has.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. But since he's the rules guy,
I'm sure he'll explain it to us.
Yeah, he assures us that it's legal. Speaking of time counters, hey, real quick, we had a lot of response to last week's comics episode, including several people pointed out we missed one when we talked about the ones we'd done before. Just last year, we did historical figures as magic
also
cards.
in October.
Yeah. And which is really sad because that was the most recent one. That's the one that we forgot about.
I'm actually, not disappointed that we forgot about the most recent one. I think I'd be more disappointed if we forgot, the first one or something.
Yeah, that would be kind of sad.
Considering that was one of the easier ones. One of the ones that we were able to do a lot with.
Yeah. I got to make the evil cards. But we got a lot of responses with people making up their own cards or, what's the word I'm searching for here? Expounding on some of the ideas we had.
Mm-hmm.
We got an email from Dylan who had an idea for a Wolverine card that Wolverine can't be countered. Huh? And if Wolverine would leave the battlefield, then he gains suspend 1, you exile him, and put a time counter on him. That's the time that he spends regenerating. Which I thought was a really neat, completely not what we were thinking at all, but flavorfully makes perfect sense. If you look at suspend as something other than being trapped in time, like it was in Time Spiral. So that was cool. We got... Yeah, Jeff Spencer had an idea for the Infinity Gems where they have the small ability that, anyone can use subconsciously. Like, for instance, he said the Mind Stone, pay 1 mana, tap to scry 2. Neat. And then the second ability that can only be used by those who know their true potential would be a loyalty ability. Like, you remove 3 loyalty counters from a planeswalker you control and tap the Mind Stone to draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
As Mike said, it's also a way of kind of giving another ability to your planeswalkers. So I appreciate all the submissions that everyone gave us, but this one in particular really resonated with me because of the uniqueness of it,
Yeah.
So he didn't give us a full layout for each one. He more just kind of threw in the idea and the example of the Mind Stone. But I think that's a really neat idea.
Yeah.
Aaron Goodwine actually mocked up cards.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, the Beast Father sent us an Infinity Gauntlet, which, let's see, for 6 and tap, it's an artifact. For 6 and tap, a legendary artifact. For 6 and tap, for each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, for free, essentially. This ability costs 1 less for each legendary gem you control. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 legendary gems with different names, you win the game. Yeah.
I like the fact that it's a chainmail, a chain bail variant, with the stipulation that if you control more gems, it's less expensive. But you gotta jump through some hoops.
Yeah, he made up a Thanos Planeswalker who costs 5 and 3 black for 9 loyalty starting.
Yeah.
+2, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Makes sense for Thanos. +1, each player discards a card and you draw a card for each creature card discarded this way. That makes sense for Thanos. For 0, sack a creature and search your library for a legendary artifact and throw it onto the battlefield. Gee, I wonder what that's going to be used for.
Is Wormcoil Engine legendary?
No.
I know, I'm kidding.
And then for -13, each player sacrifices each non-legendary permanent he or she controls.
Ugh. Ugh.
Which is
Ugh.
oddly hilarious. And then he's mocked up a gem for each one.
Yeah.
Rather than read all of those, they all do they all cost 1? Yeah.
They all cost 1. They all have a smaller ability and then a bigger ability. And it's interesting, the time gem, it works a little differently because it requires Aeon counters for the second ability. But for the most part, they all have a smaller ability and then a bigger ability. And some of these are just this side of busted, and others are way on the other side of busted. So,
Yeah.
for example, the Mind Stone, its first ability is 2 and 2 colorless, and yes, it has to be colorless, not generic. Exile target spell or ability. And then the big one is 5 mana, 5 generic, and 3 blue, and tap to gain control of target creature or spell. Which, there's nothing about this card, while it's probably an excellent representation of the Mind Gem, that doesn't make me hate myself. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool.
And we also got... Wait a minute, I forgot. We got stuff on the Facebook page.
The last one I saw, the last email one I saw was from Calvin. Not Calvin, Eric Hay, or He, and he made a Calvin Ball card. And it costs a blue and a red. It's an enchant world. It's an enchant world. I saw that as enchantment. I didn't see it as enchant world. And rules cannot be used twice. And he's got the excellent flavor text, which Chewie said made his head hurt.
Yeah, just trying to make that card actually work in the framework of Magic makes my brain want to jump out and run away.
Which, hey, Calvin Ball, objective achieved.
Exactly.
I remember the time when Calvin actually got the babysitter to play it, and she was so confused until she figured out that he was making it all up, and all of a sudden she got really good at it.
Let's see. Jonathan Harvell, you guys remember him? Gave us a Captain America that costs a red, a white, and a blue, of course.
Of course.
He has double strike and vigilance. And for a red, a white, and a blue and tap, you search your library for a vibranium shield, put it on the battlefield equipped cap. And then the vibranium shield is an equipment that says tap. Equipped creature deals an amount of damage equal to its power, divided as you choose among any number of targets. Which is pretty cool. I pointed out I didn't think Cap would have double strike, and he said, okay, how about a 3/4 with first strike instead? Yeah, okay. He also mocked up a web shooter's card that had equipped creature has reach and can only be blocked by creatures with flying. And someone else was like, it's the same thing, right? Like, those are flying. And he was like, yeah. Someone else was like, yeah, they explained that. So yeah, a big thanks to everybody. And I'm sure there are more that I'm missing, but we actually have to get on with the show proper. Uh-oh. I have like a million tabs open because you guys, old cards, especially in this particular set, were just ridiculous. What was that?
I don't know. I heard it too. Dark, are you there?
I think Mike came on. Yes,
Did Mike come on? Oh, hey, buddy.
Oh, hey. Great.
Okay, well, we weren't going to wait until Mike got here to start the main topic, but it looks like we're going to wait until Mike gets here to start the main topic. So, hey, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, that means that his upkeep, that he removed the last counter and now he officially enters the battlefield.
Yay!
That's
We're
what
talking
that
you had
was.
suspend.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were lost in action, but you've been found. So ha ha ha. We were just going over the listener submissions, email and on Facebook, relating to last week's episode.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we got some good ones.
We did.
Yeah, we did. So, now that the gang's all here, and I was about to do this anyway, so we are going to do a Mythic Conscription. For those of you that don't know, Mythic Conscription is a segment where we go back to old sets before the Mythic rarity and try to determine what cards, if any, would have been Mythic if Mythic was a thing at the time. And because we do this in relatively infrequently, we're a little spotty on whether we're looking at from today's perspective, from back then, from the perspective of design back then, or like from the perspective of when Mythics first appeared. It's a mess, but
Yeah.
it's really just an excuse to talk about old cards. So
I mean, yeah. I always try and hold to, if it was printed, if Mythic rarity existed at the time, would it be Mythic? But that in and of itself is subjective. And, despite some of the feedback that we have gotten, there really are no right or wrong answers, especially since, this is just a thought experiment.
pretty much.
So, and we have chosen.
Yeah, I take full responsibility for this, and I apologize. We are going all the way back to, now, I think I'm right about this. This is the first full-sized expansion, right?
Yes, it is. It even had its own basics and everything.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. We are going all the way back to Ice Age.
How are these rare? I'm just
I
not
spent a
looking
long
at
time looking through going, that's not good.
Yeah. Now, it should be pointed out that unlike more recent sets, basically meaning any set after Ice Age, rarities were a god-awful mess in this set in particular. Like,
Yes.
there are cards that today, and even not long after, would have been common
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
rare slot. The first two that pop to mind are Formation, target creature gains banding, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, and the
But
one that
speedy
does the same-
ostriches.
Yeah, they're speedy something. And then the one that does the same thing, but it gives first strike. I forget what it's called because it's
lightning blow.
Lightning Blow. Yeah, give
That's
a
why I
creature
only
first
have one.
strike
Thank goodness.
and draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. These days, that's known as a slow trip. It's a cantrip that triggers later. I don't know if that's a thing we want to say, but it's dumb. So, so then, gentlemen, I don't know. This set is hard.
It's a weird set, but I found at least one card in every color that I thought at least had a chance. I didn't feel like this is one of those sets where I couldn't find anything. Some are harder than others. Some of them are maybe a bit of a stretch. But again, it's not like Wizards is going to listen to me and go, oh, Ryan says it's Mythic, so it must be Mythic. So...
Yeah, so ordinarily, when I say this is hard, ordinarily, what that means is there are so many cards that should be Mythic that it's hard to narrow it down, or that could be Mythic that it's hard to narrow it down, or there are so many cards that are not even close to Mythic that it's hard to pick one. In this case, I don't mean either of those things. In this case, what I mean is it's hard to physically do the job because I had to open up so many of these cards with their own page in Gatherer to read the Oracle text because the printed text is a nightmare.
It's a good old-fashioned word salad.
Yes.
Yeah, that has been tossed a lot. So, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
The very first card that I have open, that I left open because it's ridiculous, is Call to Arms. I don't think this one falls under Mythic at all, right?
I don't think it does.
Okay.
Did you just want to point out how ridiculous it was?
Yeah, like this one is, there are a bunch of cards like this, but since this is the first one I found.
This is, wow, the Oracle text is longer than the text on the card.
So, for 1 and a white, it's an enchantment that says, as Call to Arms enters the battlefield, choose a color and an opponent. Okay. So, for instance, White Dirk.
I don't know why you would choose that, but okay.
Right?
That's right.
White creatures get +1/+1 as long... Now, ignore the fact that I said white. This is what's printed on the card.
Say green. Say green. Choose dark and green.
Choose dark and green, right.
Okay.
White creatures get +1/+1 as long as the chosen color is the most common color among non-token permanents the chosen player controls, but isn't tied for most common. Now, we're not done yet. When the chosen color isn't the most common color among non-token permanents the chosen player controls, or is tied for the most common, you sacrifice Call to Arms. So really, it's a giant, like, card counting mess just to get a
crusade.
A crusade, that's the one. Thank you.
And it's all white creatures, so not just yours.
And the only benefit you get over Crusade is that the mana cost is 1 and a white instead of white.
Hoops, I'm sold.
All these hoops. All these hoops.
I mean, there is a more succinct way to say the Oracle text that Chewie read out. And that's the way the card is printed, but the way the card is printed doesn't fit the current common conventions for proper rules templating.
Yeah.
And if it's ever tied or not the most common color among non-token permanents, then you have to sack this. It's just...
Yeah, it doesn't shut off. It's just gone.
It's just gone. It's just like, nope, bye. It's not mythic at all, but I love having the example because... Okay. Well, do you want to know...
The thing is, like, when you finally sit there and think about it and get it, you can see what the designer was going for in terms of the flavor of the card.
Yeah.
And what they meant for it to express. There's a lot of cards like that.
Oh,
there's this big block of text, and you have to sit and think about it. And when you get it, you say, oh, okay. But it really wasn't necessary to get that detail.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I meant when I said this set is hard.
Yeah.
Because there are just so many of cards like this that do a lot of crap that is actually crap. Like,
yeah. When it comes down to it, you know, like we said, is this good? No. Is this not worth the stuff you have to do for it? Yeah. So.
And like the problem is, now we should point out, Mike and I were playing back in these days. Playing, quote unquote. Like I was reading.
Several years later, I learned how to play properly.
Yeah, like I was reading Inquest and all of that, so I know what like the popular and powerful cards do. But stuff I've never seen this card ever, and there are a bunch of these that I'm like, I don't believe. I've never seen a bunch of these cards.
Yeah,
which made it even harder.
Yeah, well, I mean, us and everyone we knew, we definitely didn't buy cards at the same rate then as we would in later years.
Right.
So for us and all the people we knew, any given card was just less common to see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on. What do we have in white? I have a few possibilities.
I had one that I was pretty sure about, and one that I had a question mark. And Mike, before you got here, I had said that we all really, I think, for this one, I think we need to adopt a
no hard feelings.
No hard feelings rule, because we do get worked. We have gotten worked up about some of them where we're like, no, Chewie, you're just wrong. No, Brian, that doesn't make any sense. And you know, we can still use that here, but I think we all have to agree that this is so hard. I don't think that anybody should be chastised for too much.
Okay.
I mean, a crawl worm in this set would be an uncommon, right? So, just keep that in mind. So, but the first one
was always common.
I think so. Yeah.
Anyway,
and it's a 6/4. That's nuts.
So,
dude,
anyway,
and that also goes for the listeners too.
Scaled worm for president. Anyway, so but my first one that I was fairly sure about was enduring renewal. Anybody else have enduring renewal?
Yes.
I think you're stupid. I mean,
good job. That lasted all of 3 minutes.
Brian, you big idiot.
That's me.
Yeah. Enduring Renewal is the first one that I have open as an actual possibility mythic because it was borderline broken several times throughout its history, and it's probably had errata that's like a small novella's worth.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and read the Oracle text so everybody gets where it's coming from. So, again, Oracle text here. For 2 and 2 white, it's an enchantment. Play with your hand revealed. If you would draw a card, reveal the top card of your library instead. If it's a creature card, put it into your graveyard. Otherwise, draw a card. So, if it's a creature card, it's going to the graveyard. Anything else, you actually do draw. And it does say draw it. You don't directly put it into your hand, so it will trigger draw effects.
Right.
Then the most important part is this last part here. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. So, basically, nothing that you've got will die permanently. No creatures you have, instead of going to the graveyard, they will go back to your hand from the battlefield. And then once you put this down, though, you better have all the creatures you want because you're not drawing anymore, at least through the normal function. You can still use shenanigans like Gravedigger to get them from your graveyard back to your hand.
Yeah, and tutors that will search them from the library and put them in your hand. But you're not going to draw any more creatures that you can just straight up use.
Right. So I picked this one because of the fact that is such a powerful last ability. That none of your stuff actually dies, at least not permanently. And in fact, in some instances can be even better than they were before if it quote unquote dies, because then once it enters the battlefield effects can trigger again when you replay it. So, and it's so combo-rific too. You can do silly stuff. Think about this with like Dredge. You know.
There was in many of the early Magic rule books, there was an Easter egg in the index at the back of the rule book of entries that would reference each other. They would point to each other's like it's like a Enduring Renewal C Ornithopter, Ornithopter C Fallen Angel C Enduring Renewal. That was the Easter egg in the index.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice little.
There you go.
Huge ass Fallen Angel combo.
So there we go. So there's that one. It sounds like everybody's pretty much on board.
This is legal in Modern, by the way, because it was on the Time Spiral time shifted sheet.
My god, it was.
Quick, get to brewing.
And I'm really surprised that nothing noteworthy has seemed to happen with it.
Well, Mike, you're the Modern player.
I know. I've thought about it during renewal several times.
Expect you to have some results by the end of this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Right. Jeez.
Are you playing in the Pro Tour?
No.
Too bad.
Doesn't matter. The Pro Tour still.
Okay. So, and then I had one maybe, but before we get to that, did anybody else have any that they thought was a fairly strong contender for Mythic in white, other than Enduring Renewal?
See, if I'm putting myself in the mindset of at this time,
right?
I think Seraph could have had a shot at being Mythic.
I looked at
Seraph
that
was
one.
my choice.
Yeah,
because it's like a Kravikan vampire.
That's exactly, So
except bigger and it flies.
So for 6 and a white, it's a flying angel. It's a 4/4. All right. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Seraph this turn dies, put that card onto the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. But you sacrifice the creature when you lose control of Seraph. So when Seraph punches something, it dies, sees the light, comes back, joins your side.
Yep.
But then when Seraph goes away, whatever angelic divine force is holding it there on your side goes away too, and the creature dies. Now, my first thought with this is that is so far outside of white's color pie that it's just ridiculous. It should be Mythic. And then I thought, the color pie was only kind of a thing at the time.
It was more of a guideline.
It's more of a guideline, really.
It's more of a color suggestion.
Yeah. I looked at it for a while. This was not my other one just because I'm looking at it and I felt like it. I will say, I think this was almost like a maybe for me. It certainly outclassed a lot of the other stuff, like Formation. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. I was going to say, white does share the resurrection mechanics with black. But nowadays, white gets small stuff. Well, black gets whatever.
Well, and it's not necessarily tied like here to like creature destruction as well.
Right, correct.
So, but I think it's a maybe.
Yes, I've got Seraph open as a maybe too.
That was the only one I chose
So
in white.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can guess. Was your other one? Hang on, I had one more that was really bizarre.
Okay.
That I had open, but hang on, I want to look through white again real quick for you.
Go right ahead.
Was it No, I got nothing. Was it Energy Storm?
No, it wasn't Energy Storm. It was Order of the Sacred Torch. Just I was like probably not, but
Interesting.
it's just so weird. For 1 and 2 white, it's a 2/2 human knight.
Wow. At the time, it was a paladin.
Yep, summon paladin. Now it's a human knight, and you can tap it and pay 1 life to counter target black spell. The printed text says tap, pay 1 life to destroy target black spell. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. Play this ability as an interrupt. So again,
I want to point something out. As printed, it says destroy target black spell, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll down to the last card in black at Stromgald Cabal. This is the mirror image, which they did a lot in black and white back then. This one says tap, pay 1 life to counter target white spell. Within the set, they didn't have the terminology worked out.
The consistency.
I was looking at this, I'm like, oh, this must be a different printing? No. Oh, this must be one of those like Cold Snap reprints? No. This is as printed in Ice Age. So I really thought that was funny.
Yeah. So again, I'm not like, this has to be mythic, because actually, as weird as this seems to us now, other colors countering other than blue was something that would happen if it was an enemy color kind of thing.
Yes.
In Alpha, they had Life Force and Death Grip.
Yeah.
Which were red and green.
And then, of course, there's Red Elemental Blast.
Oh, yeah.
Which, think about red countering anything. And then once your brain calms down a little bit, remember that this was early Magic. Because a red counter spell now, we've seen like a couple counter spells in white, very conditional, especially in Time Spiral, because white and permission and all that good stuff. But even those have not really stuck around,
Yeah.
So that's why I was kind of like, huh. But ultimately, I think the only one I feel really secure with is Enduring Renewal out of white.
Yeah,
I had
Seraph as a maybe, and Energy Storm I have open just because it makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
So now this is a thing you'll see a lot of. It's an enchantment for 1 and a white. It has cumulative upkeep of 1. Cumulative. I don't know why I can't say that word. And prevent all damage that would be dealt by instant and sorcery spells, which already is like, whoa. And then creatures with flying don't untap during their controller's untap steps.
Because it's
an energy storm, yeah.
I mean,
there are a bunch of these cards that have like some sort of mechanical thing, and then they interact with creatures with flying or creatures without flying or stuff like that just for flavor reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh.
Ever since original Innistrad, Wizards has taken more of a proactive approach to doing cards what we call top down, which is looking at the flavor of the card more primarily than secondarily. But that's more of a return to form than people realize, because that was how Magic was all the time at the beginning. Was this is the flavor of the card, ergo this is what this card does, even if it makes almost no mechanical sense. Yeah. So that, which is going to explain about 9/10 of the cards we talk about today. So anything else in white, or shall we move on to blue?
Yeah, Mike, do you have anything else?
I thought about Kildoran Royal Guard, but I'm not completely convinced.
Yeah, I thought about that too. That's the one that redirects damage to itself.
Tap all combat damage that would be dealt to you by unblocked creatures this turn is dealt to Kildoran Royal Guard instead.
Yeah, and it's what?
Yeah.
2/5 for 5.
2/5. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is. I mean, it's essentially one of those. It's a variation on prevent some damage. So I just sort of.
Mhm.
But I did stop and linger on it for a minute, going,
For me, it's a rare because it is kind of a wow, prevent all of it, but not a mythic.
Mhm.
For me.
Yeah, it's all of you guys stand in front of me while you die, and I don't. Ha! So, yeah. Okay, then. Let's go to blue. I did notice that blue had more cards, or more rares than any other color. I know this
Yes.
because I was counting them out as I opened, because I just went through each color and just opened every card in a new tab.
I didn't count, but I just kind of intuitively noticed because I was like, blue, 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 blue. Wait, what?
Yeah.
I had one that I feel really secure about, and I had 3 maybes. So,
Okay, wait. Was the one that you're really secure about Illusions of Grandeur?
no.
Really?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Did
It was not even a maybe.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was my definite mythic.
It has the number 20 written on it.
Yeah.
It does have the number 20 on it. But without shenanigans, it is a net gain and loss of 0. So,
But
I'm aware of what it represents for Magic's history, but at the time,
it was, I basically start over.
until you can't pay for it anymore, and then you just go back to where you were when you cast it.
Well, I mean, in
Essentially.
theory, that means that you're going to win. But it's huge.
I might give you a maybe. I don't know if it's mythic.
Wow. Mike, your thoughts?
Why doesn't somebody say what this
Okay.
thing does?
Illusions of Grandeur for 3 and a blue has it's an enchantment. It has cumulative upkeep of 2. And it
Yeah.
says, when Illusions of Grandeur enters the battlefield, you gain 20 life. When Illusions of Grandeur leaves the battlefield, you lose 20 life. Its historical significance is the
Donate.
What was
Tricks.
Tricks. Yeah, the Tricks
Yeah.
deck, where you would play Illusions of Grandeur, gain 20 life, donate it to your opponent, and then they die.
Yeah. Because you get to keep the 20 life you gained
Yep.
because you don't control illusions anymore. And then when they can't pay for it anymore, they lose 20 life and they, in theory, lose the game. So,
Yeah, the Tricks deck was the quintessential crazy 2-card combo deck
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
was, I mean, it was part of the defining era. It was one of the defining decks of its era.
yes. I mean, it was still played in Legacy for a while, right? I want to say it was getting played while we were getting started, or at least while I was.
I guess it was up until Mana Vault was banned, or was Mana Vault always banned in Legacy? I know Mana Vault was part of it Mana Vault was part of the deck, so Mana Vault and Dark Ritual were 2 of the most important broken cards to run out the combo.
What are you talking about? Dark Ritual's fine.
Oh, sorry, Mana Vault.
It's just for one turn, Mike. I mean, what more you just drop a Hypnotic Spectre on turn 1. That's not so bad.
That was a different section. Let's not bleed between these.
Sorry. So yeah, like I had said before, Brian reminded me we needed to actually read the card. Hey, Mike, what are your thoughts on the Illusions of Grandeur?
I think Illusions of Grandeur would have been mythic
This has number 20 on it?
because it has a number 20 on it.
In reference to life totals,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not like mana cost. Yeah, just because it's such a huge effect. I mean, gain 20 life is like, holy crap! And then the rest is also holy crap, but it's a different...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just need one more turn to win. With this, you might get as many as like 4.
I can see that. I think I'm coming around on this. Although, I'm still not like 100% sold. I'm seeing where you're coming from.
And it's also got a little bunny rabbit pretending to be a dragon.
There is that, yeah. When was Donate printed?
Urza's Destiny.
Wow, that was a long time later.
It was. They were in... Extended was a really big format for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, Extended was weird. Like, it would accumulate sets for, 2 years and then rotate?
Maybe even longer.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Well, didn't they keep like the dual lands for a while too?
Yeah, they had a special exception for the dual lands for a while. It was strange.
And then they took that out, and people. That was one of the first instances I remembered of nerd rage. People were like, "Oh, the format's dead because you can't play dual lands anymore."
Everyone's just gonna play burn. It's gonna be stupid. So okay, there, Mister. Wait, hey Dirk, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. So that particular one, I mean, I can kind of see it too. And the issue I have is that I've been playing long enough that I know cards where it's just. And I think might be where Brian was coming from, where you've got enchantment, and so yes, you gain 20 life, and then you take that, and then it's disenchant, bounce, do something that just says, yeah, that goes away, and you instantly lose. And it has cumulative upkeep, which means that yes, you do gain the 2 life, but at some point that card will go away because you will not be able to pay the upkeep. And that's sort of the part where, again, I'm looking and going, yeah, you gain 20 life, but you're not going to keep it for long. It's not like a Platinum Angel.
Yeah,
That is not. That was much later in Magic's life. So and
again,
you'll never donate a Platinum Angel.
Yeah, again, it's one of those ones where I agree with you guys that yes, at that time, I do agree. That probably would have been Mythic. But coming from now and my knowledge and my history with Magic, I'm going.
See, I almost have the opposite reaction where I'm not 100% sold on it being Mythic at the time, but given its place in Magic's history, if I was doing it today, then and it was being reprinted, I think it would be reprinted at Mythic because of what it represents. But I'm more looking at it from the time that it was printed. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that it's a huge flashy effect, which is one of the things from what a Mythic was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, because I have to again. You guys will probably be like, you don't know what you're talking about, Dirk. But the whole thing about the whole I know, but the whole thing about what Mike had said about you gain 20 life, that essentially you just either doubled your life. Or you kind of restarted the game without the other person getting a chance to restart. Because you just gained 20 life. You went right back up to where you started. And since you are still playing, more.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that does make a difference. Let's say you're both at a relatively low life total. You make an attack. And they make certain blocks. And now they're at a very, very low life total. But you know they're going to kill you on the backswing. Why did he do that? Oh, well, then he lays down illusions of grandeur, and you basically got this game locked up because now they can't kill you on the next turn without a disenchant. So, but I'm not going to use the dies to terror approach to this because everything.
Nice way to make that historically accurate.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
So it dies to dark banishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best argument for, well, not the best, but I didn't want to have that come up as a reason not to have my pick, the obvious Mythic, be not Mythic.
And it is also possible, for those of you that are already sending the email, that Mike and I are blinded by the history of the card. And at the time it would have been, because it was a crap rare.
Oh, I'm not even considering the stupid combo.
Now, I know you say that, and I say that, but it's possible that we can't separate. It's possible for me, anyway, that I can't actually separate my mind from it, because I remember when this was printed.
Too long.
Yeah. I remember when this was printed, it was a crap rare that no one cared about, because it was terrible.
Oh, I would have been excited about this. I know I would have.
You were also playing with Gabe at the time.
I was. He did teach me how to play.
So Chewie, I think we can all agree this is close. If it's not there.
This is a definite maybe, almost objectively a definite maybe. But which way you lean is really subjective.
Yes. Would you take another stab? Would you like to take another stab at what my definite Mythic is, or do you just want me to say
yours is a well, it's totally Polar Kraken then.
It's totally Polar Kraken.
Because
It is absolutely Polar Kraken.
Polar Kraken for the longest time, I mean, years, was the biggest creature in Magic by far.
Until Phyrexian
Was it-
Dreadnought, right?
So that would have been 1 year later.
Wow, really?
hmm
Still,
But
it was
before Polar Kraken, the largest creature was Force of Nature, which was 8/8.
yeah. So
I always
Polar
forget
Kraken.
about Dreadnought.
No, it wasn't. It was Colossus of Sardia. That was a 9/9.
There you go. That makes more sense.
So
Someone's
Polar
going to make
Kraken.
it 10/10 and make me mad.
So Polar Kraken costs 8 and 3 blue. So that's 11 if you're counting at home for an 11/11 with trample
In blue.
in blue, and it enters the battlefield tapped, and it has cumulative upkeep of sacrifice a land, which is terrifying. But it's an 11/11. How many turns do you need with this? Answer: none. I mean, maybe like 2. But, you know, it's huge. It has a huge converted mana cost, and it has huge stats. It is historically significant because it was the largest creature at the time, and it's an iconic creature type Kraken. Everything about this to me screams Mythic. And yes, it has a huge drawback with the sacrifice of land because that's the only way they could print it at the time. You were not going to print this without the cumulative upkeep because creatures were not good back then. They weren't even this good. They were much worse than this. So, and that's the general rule. So,
As a quick refresher, cumulative upkeep. So cards with cumulative upkeep, you have to pay a cost during your upkeep that increases each turn. And the way that's tracked is you put an age counter on it at the beginning of your upkeep, and then you have to either pay the cumulative upkeep cost once for every age counter on it or sacrifice it.
right.
And
So-
also, I just remembered, damn it, Leviathan was a 10/10.
Okay. so this was 11/11 as opposed to a 10/10, but still biggest
Mhm.
creature at the time.
Yeah.
And because it's cumulative, as Mike said, your first turn you're going to play this, you don't sacrifice anything. Then during your next upkeep, you put an age counter on it. Then you choose. You sack a land or you sack this. Let's say you sack a land. Next upkeep, your next upkeep, not an opponent's. Your next upkeep, you put an age counter on it. And then you don't sacrifice a land. You look at the number of age counters on it. There's 2. We have to pay that cost twice. So then you have to sack 2 lands if you want to keep it. It's horribly detrimental, but it's an 11/11, and it has the good common sense to have trample. So
Yeah, thank goodness.
yeah. So I think it's Mythic. Does anyone care to disagree?
While everyone sits there in stunned silence, I think I realized why I thought this was the biggest card in Magic for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the biggest card in Magic that I owned for so long. Because I
There you go.
actually never owned a Phyrexian Dreadnought.
Yeah, because after Phyrexian Dreadnought, there wasn't that didn't get one-upped until Krosan Cloudscraper, which was much, much later.
In
yeah,
Onslaught,
that was like
yeah.
when we were all playing together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this was the largest creature for a year, and then the second largest creature
For
until
like a
Onslaught, which was
decade.
much, much later. So
Maybe
I think
quite a decade.
yeah. So, but again, I've stated my reasons. Anyone feel that it's not, or can we accept that it is and move on to the next one?
Like it's so bad, but again, like Polar Kraken.
Mhm.
As someone who was playing back then, Polar Kraken, just the name carried weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was a thing with a capital T.
And if you can find a way to get around the mana cost, which is pretty easy in the
Well,
game in general,
These days,
it turns into a really good card. In
Because
my
again,
opinion.
how many turns are you going to need with this?
Exactly.
So
so
Okay, so that was my-
I can see it either way. I think just because of the gravitas that Polar Kraken had for so long, I think I would put it at Mythic regardless of whether it should be.
Mhm.
okay, Dirk, any thoughts
On Polar Kraken or another
Yeah.
card?
on Polar Kraken, and then we'll move to another card.
I would have to agree, particularly with it being such a huge creature
Okay.
with that ability. So yeah,
Well,
and trample.
let's keep moving then. Dirk, what is another card that you thought might be Mythic or close?
Well,
blue.
one that I saw when I was frantically going, oh, what's a blue card? Because I don't see one that would be. I picked Sleight of Mind. But that's another one where when I look at later, I'm going, replace all instance of one color word with another.
I believe it's been reprinted as a rare.
Yeah. Well,
I
it
don't
was
know if
that it
that's-
showed up in alpha, beta, a whole bunch of those. But yeah, that was one I had chosen. But it's
I
one
thought
that's very selective.
I thought it had been printed since this. It
Mhm.
was the latest time it was printed was actually Ice Age or
Fifth edition.
Fifth edition.
whichever came last. I thought this was reprinted in like 10th edition or
Wow,
something.
it was actually an uncommon in Ice Age. I did not know that.
Oh, that's probably part of the reason why why these colors are unbalanced.
Yeah.
In terms of a rarity count, there might be a couple more of those.
I know Pyroclasm shows up as a rare, even though it's not
No,
because of
yeah.
something later.
Brian, the one
So-
you're thinking of, I can't remember the name, but there was another card that was printed that combined the effects of Sleight of Mind and Magical Hack.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
that one
That's-
was also a rare, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one you were
So-
thinking of that was printed in some later core sets.
So I'm not going to necessarily disagree with Dirk a whole lot, but I don't know if this one gets here
Nah.
all by itself. I mean, it's definitely a Johnny card of like, think of all the stuff you can do with it, but it's just not.
Well, it felt like a lot of the stuff, because as I'm going through, there's a lot of stuff that specifically targets a colored creature.
In this set-
a lot of it.
In this set, especially, I will say
So I
that.
can see why this one would actually be a really good card
Mm-hmm.
for the set, but I don't think it would be mythic.
Okay. Well, Mike, what's a card that you think might be mythic? In
Let's
blue?
see.
Or have we already
The other
mined
one among the rest that really stood out to me was Zur's Weirding.
Yup.
I had that one as a maybe.
Yeah, because of the bizarre game warping effect that it has. So
This one definitely has been reprinted within the last 10 years.
yes,
It was
it
in
has.
Ninth edition.
Yeah,
And 8th
yeah.
edition.
that too.
Yeah.
So, also modern legal. Let's go.
Shut up.
No, no.
For 3 and a blue, it's an enchantment. Players play with their hands revealed. Yes, we can build the hands revealed deck. If a player would draw a card, he or she reveals it instead. Then, any other player may pay 2 life. If a player does, put that card into its owner's graveyard. Otherwise, that player draws a card.
Yeah, like with enough life or with enough lockdown,
Mhm.
you can effectively just deny your opponent ever getting new cards if you're
Yeah,
far
it's
enough
basically, given enough life, this is the Lantern control strategy all in one card.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big game of Mother May I.
Hmm
Yeah.
And no, you may not.
Or you let them have the stuff that just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
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 And since
Although-
everyone's hands are revealed, I mean, it works on you too,
But
but that's why
if-
you build your deck to abuse it.
yeah, if you're playing this, you're not going to do it when the game is really close and you need to draw one more important card, but they have enough life to deny you that. You're going to do this when you have enough life and you have enough control already established that this is the lock. Is it mythic? Maybe. It's weird. And it does something that no other card really does. And it's a fairly powerful effect. So the more I look at it, the more I'm like, yeah, actually, I can see that. I just had more things in blue than some of the other colors. So I think I was trying not to pick everything, but I definitely think it's a very good possibility. I would probably actually put it at Mythic before Illusions of Grandeur. Or if not, very, very close.
Yeah, Zur's Weirding is one of those that as soon as I saw the name, I was like, oh, there's one.
Mhm.
Just because, like you said, it's so weird and it completely warps the game and not based on like power of this card or anything like that. It just makes the game, well, then it's in the name. It makes the game weird. I don't know if that actually makes it qualify as a mythic or not. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with all of you people out there. Reading these cards takes me back to like 15-year-old Chewie, and 15-year-old Chewie is way different than 36-year-old Chewie. So, this one's a little harder on me for that reason.
Surge wielding makes me think of you could easily abuse this and make it okay, how many cards do you have in your library? I have this many. Okay, this is what's going to happen every turn. I win because you all are going to empty your libraries before I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is how this card just feels like it can be easily abused and be an alternate win condition aside from I dealt you 20 damage, you're dead. This is we're just going to play a really long game of you draw a card, no. You draw a card, no. Until there are no more cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm
Mike
going to
said,
pay 58 life, you're dead.
This is the Lantern Control deck in one card. It's like, no. No. Except the Lantern
that one's
Control
pretty
deck,
stupid. Okay, you can have it.
The Lantern Control deck does it, oddly enough, more efficiently, which is a thing no one has ever said about Lantern Control ever.
Ugh. All right, let's keep moving.
Yeah, let's get away from Zer's weirding. It's making my head hurt.
Any other possibilities in blue?
Yeah, what else you guys got in blue?
That's it.
Like,
I just want to mention that by the time I got finished reading Winter's Chill, I was upset that I took all that time to read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
The other two possibilities I had were Reality Twist, just because it's weird, and I think it's kind of similar to some other effects in this set. They really there's some griefer cards in this set that mess with your mana.
Yeah, if you get out Reality Twist and Naked Singularity on the same turn, I think at least one of your opponent's heads will just explode.
Yeah.
Reality Twist has a cumulative upkeep of 1 blue. That's a lot. But it says, if tapped for mana, let me summarize this. If tapped for mana, Plains and Mountains switch, which one you get, which color mana you get, and Mountains and Swamps switch. So Plains make red, Mountains make white, Forests go black, Swamps go green. And
Islands
make blue because you're playing Reality Twist in blue. It's a red rare enchantment in blue.
Yeah, it is. So I had that one.
I don't think it's mythic. I think it's awful.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm getting hiccups apparently. But the other one I was looking at and was a maybe for me, and I don't really think it is, but just I thought was close enough, was Dreams of the Dead. This, wow. Thank you, hiccups. This is a weird card. What?
I said I love Dreams of the Dead.
Well, why not? If you love it so much, why don't you tell us what it does?
Okay.
Since I'm hiccuping it.
And then marry it.
Yeah. Might just... So, Dreams of the Dead, it's an enchantment, costs 3 and a blue. It has an activated ability. Pay 1 and a blue, return target white or black creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. The creature gains cumulative upkeep 2. If the creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else.
And you have to remember, at the time, like, Enters the Battlefield effects were not the same. Like, Necrotol wouldn't be printed until the next year. Like, there wasn't like a get this back and kill that and then let it die. No.
A lot of
creatures
like
that. There weren't a lot of stuff like that.
A lot of creatures were not also spells. I say that. I hope you guys know what I mean. I mean that they had, static abilities and they had tap abilities, but a lot of them did not have enters the battlefield effects. Yes.
Oh, look, Dreams of the Dead was also uncommon in Ice Age.
Oh, look at that.
So at the time, it probably was okay to be a rare, but I just think it was kind of interesting. So, but yeah. So I just thought that was a really neat card. But why don't we go ahead and move on to black?
Oh, wait a minute. If you want to look at things that had never been done before, that could have potentially been mythic because they were brand new, Deflection. This card was huge at the time because, it's been printed many times since then, but for 3 and a blue, changed the target of target spell with a single target, which is commonplace nowadays, but this was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this card was huge.
It was legitimately good for a long time.
For a long time. Like, it was always in the inquests, top cards of the month or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
because it was in every deck that anyone that played blue was playing, because it's insane. Because a lot of the times you lost because someone cast a spell at your head and you went, no.
Yeah, I lightning bolt your dude. No, you lightning bolted your face. Why'd you do that anyway?
That was stupid.
Stop hitting yourself.
I counter your spell. No, you counter deflection. How did you even know it was there? Judge.
It's mighty prescient of you.
Yeah.
So just because it was the first of its time, I could maybe see them going, look what we have done! Is this not insane? But maybe not.
Possible.
I said, it's also possible that I'm just remembering how powerful it was. But it was powerful because it was new and different and insane. And also because of how good spells were. This was back in the day when creatures were stupid and spells were how you played Magic.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
All right.
So
black. Should we just go ahead and mention the obvious?
Yeah, Oath of Limb Duel, definitely.
I've lost to my own Oath of Limb Duel so many times.
Yeah,
It's a Lich card. And haven't we established that Lich cards are always mythic? It wasn't that my agenda for a while. So I think I was actually shot down on that. So I'm completely kidding.
Hard.
Yeah. You guys were like, no, Brian. And over time, I realized that you were probably correct. No, I'm talking about that card right next to Necropotence. I mean, next to Whoa.
Spoilers, he means Necropotence.
I mean
meant Pox.
Necropotence. Well, I had a question mark next to Pox. But, I mean, once again, much like with Illusions of Ranger, I find it impossible here to separate the history of this card from what it did at the time. And, like, even more so. Because it's Necropotence. It's Necropotence.
The thing is, for Necropotence, I think the fact that it has those odd little quirks built into it to tamp down its power shows me that either in the initial design or through testing, whoever designed it and developed it understood how powerful it was. Now, it took players a while to catch on.
Yeah, much like Illusion. Well, maybe not much like Illusions, but for a long time it was a crap rare until someone figured out, oh my god.
It was Randy Bueller.
Oh, of course it was, yeah.
And he built a deck and Hulkamania ran wild all over everything.
What you gonna do, brother? So yeah, okay, we'll just go ahead and... like, we have to mark Necro down, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's one of those cards that you can't... Once you're aware of what it can do, it's too late. Like, it's got to be mythic just because we say so. Like, So, okay, other than that, what else do we have? There's another Griefer card, much like Reality Twist in Infernal Darkness.
Yeah, I looked at that one.
But I think that most of these, I'm going to chalk up to bad design instead of mythic. Infernal Darkness, its cumulative upkeep is a black and 1 life. And all mana-producing lands tap. Well, if a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of anything else.
That includes amount as well.
Yeah. So your, I don't know what was around at the time, but your Ancient Tomb, nope, 1 black mana. Hope it was worth it. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily mythic-y. What else you guys got? I have a handful of dude, I don't know, is open.
I remember a game we played that got real stupid after I played an Infernal Denizen and then decided to just stop paying the upkeep cost.
Yeah. I remember Mike getting beaten to death with his own Infernal Denizen.
Let's read Infernal Denizen. For 7 and a black, it's a 5/7 demon.
That should already tell you right there what went wrong.
At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice 2 swamps. If you can't, meaning you don't have a choice, you either do it or you actually can't. If you can't, tap Infernal Denizen, and an opponent may gain control of a creature you control of his or her choice for as long as Infernal Denizen remains on the battlefield. So, and then it has an ability, tap, gain control of target creature for as long as Infernal Denizen remains on the battlefield. So I decided to stop paying the upkeep cost. And, the person who I let choose something decided to take Infernal Denizen. And at the beginning of their upkeep, they stole something with Infernal Denizen, and someone else took the Infernal Denizen from them, and the game just kind of got dumb. And it was really funny.
Good times. Or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that you can just steal things.
Yeah.
That stood out as mythic to me. Just tap, give me that. But now the dumbness is coloring my view of it. Even though I still like it.
Colored by dumbness. That could be a name for this episode. I don't know, man. All I'm saying is the dumbness too, but I mean, tap give me that is really powerful, but then it's big and dumb and has a dumb ability, a dumb upkeep, and I don't know, man.
If you're looking at creatures, I was actually staring for a while at Hecatome. Although it's no demon, nor is it a creature. But, it looks like a creature.
Yeah, I was about to say, what?
Man,
Yeah,
usually I get rid of a hiccup in like 5 minutes.
Hecatomb is really... I looked at it for a long time. But
it's really hard to do, but it's totally worth it once you get it.
It can end the game, like, without it. So, okay, so for 1 and 2... for 1 and 2 black, it's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice Hecatome unless you sacrifice 4 creatures. 4 creatures. Tap an untapped swamp you control to Hecatome pings a creature, deals 1 damage to target creature or player.
Yeah, so if you can make
That
it
is
work,
insane.
you've got infinite fireballs forever.
Yeah. Oh, they played a creature? Kill it. They don't have a creature? Destroy them. I was looking at it mostly because, if anything, I think the sacrifice the 4 creatures part, first of all, is there for a balancing. You have to do, you can't just make for 1 and 2 black, do that second ability by itself. That's stupid. But if anything, it makes this card feel really unique. It says to you, wow, this must be amazing if you have to jump through this hoop. And unlike a certain demon, it actually has the potential, or some of the other cards we've talked about, like the Crusade effect. This is actually worth it, depending on what you're sacrificing, of course. So
I have 1 copy in my graveyard deck because it's funny.
See?
Yep.
I can already think of ways of, again, making a terrible deck out of this.
Wait, Mike, did you just try to say something and get cut off?
No.
Oh, okay. No. I could have sworn you were like, "What?" and that's all I heard. My bad.
Maybe I made a noise without realizing it.
Stop making noises, you weirdo.
Touche.
Mike, you big idiot. No hard feelings. So Hecatome is okay. I'll add that to my maybe pile. Like, I had it open and then I just closed it because I thought I was being colored by the fact that I have it in my graveyard deck and I love every card in that deck. So, So what about Pox? I heard Brian say Pox was on his maybe pile.
I did say it, and then I muted it so I wouldn't be hiccuping into the microphone anymore. We'll see how long this lasts. I said it because I think it's kind of an interesting way that it hits all of these different resources. It reminds me a bit of Balance. For 3 black, it's a sorcery. Each player loses a third of his or her life, then discards a third of the cards in his or her hand, then sacrifices a third of the creatures he or she controls, then sacrifices a third of the lands he or she controls. Round up each time. That is potentially very, very powerful. I had it as a maybe. I had Necro and Hecatome as the ones I was pretty sure about. I had Pox as a maybe. Why don't you guys talk about why it may or may not be while I mute again real quick?
Yeah, like you said, as a balance-like effect, that's what makes it stand out to me as possibly mythic.
Yeah. I mean, I've got it open, which means I was thinking about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, like, I don't know. I think when you say balance like, that immediately shoves it closer to mythic than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
Which hadn't occurred to me, actually, to compare it to balance for some reason. Interesting. I don't think I'm going to make an actual decision on that one, so...
And because it does more harm to the person with more stuff, that also makes it a bit of a catch-up card. A very powerful one, too.
That's true. So it's not as busted as balance in that it... Like, balance does only harm to the people with the most stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this does... Let's say it works towards leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it never registered with me before, but seeing the cards side by side, is the Goblin in Spoils of War picking at a skull with the Stromgald Cabal helmet on? I think he is.
Oh, wow. That does look like... That is the same helmet almost, yeah.
Cool.
I never noticed that before either. Neat.
You usually don't see common elements like that in these early sets, since the art direction was all over the place.
Especially that with two different artists.
with two different artists.
Like, if, Anson Maddox had done both of those, I could totally see that.
Uh-huh.
But it's Anson Maddox and Pete Venters, so that's really weird.
They must be buddies.
Either
Wait, was
that or-
Pete Venters the art director at the time?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Oh well. So what do we think on Black? We good? Anything else? Brian, did you have anything else? Dirk?
Nope.
Brian, you're muted. Okay. I guess Brian walked away to go get a drink of water or something.
I guess so.
So how about... Dude, his sister is so hot.
Yeah. I'm a little bit. I think the hiccups are gone. I was done with black. So.
All right. Well, let's do something slightly easier and go to red.
Did you say easier or?
Because lots of the stuff in red was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't find anything in red.
See?
I had two.
Okay.
And,
what?
They both have the word chaos in their name. But
Game
so
and
Chaos Lord
Game
and Chaos
Lord?
Moon.
Or Moon? Oh god, there's so many chaos.
So much chaos.
So many chaos. So wow, much chaos. I have Chaos Lord, which I realize I play, so I'm a little biased, but I really think maybe just because it's so out there. And I had Game of Chaos, which kind of like Mike said about what was it, the Winter's Chill. By the time you're done reading it, you're like, wow, is that worth it? But I think maybe. It reminds me of Mana Clash a lot, except better. Better is a subjective term. Anyway, Chaos Lord. Let's go ahead and pull up this Oracle text right here. So for 7 mana, 4 and 3 red, it's a 7/7 human. It has no class, so it's just a human.
Creature type dude.
You think it'd be a barbarian or something. But he's, that would be to normalize. He's chaos. So he has first strike, 7/7 with first strike for 7, which in this day and age was crazy.
Oh yeah.
And then at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent gains control of Chaos Lord if the number of permanents on the battlefield is even. So think about that for a little bit. And then Chaos Lord can attack as though it had haste unless it entered the battlefield this turn, which you think about that for a second and you're like, wait, what? But it's because it keeps changing possession.
Yeah, it still has summoning sickness the first time you play it, but then when someone else gets it, they can swing with it.
Right.
But it doesn't matter because it's not their turn. The only times that's actually relevant is if they steal it with some other effect during their own turn.
Oh, that is only your upkeep.
Yeah.
What?
I get the feeling that line of text wasn't completely thought through about whether it was even necessary and just ended up on the card because.
Yes. I just like how it has haste except on the first turn, which you're just like, even if there's a reason for that, you still have to go, huh? But anyway, it's a big creature. It's Lord of the Pit size, right? With first strike. So, if nothing else, then looking at the rest of red, I was like, the Hydra? No.
No.
The Yeti? No. Choco Hops is interesting, but it's just a sweeper. So,
Yay.
It's not just a sweeper though.
yeah, well, I guess then we'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
And then, my other one was Game of Chaos, which, Chewie, read the Oracle text for Game of Chaos.
Yeah, this one actually I have open too as a possibility. So for red, it's a sorcery that says, flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain 1 life, and target opponent loses 1 life, and you decide whether to flip again. If you lose the flip, you lose 1 life, and that opponent gains 1 life, and that player decides whether to flip again. Which, I mean, that's neat, but then there's one more line of Oracle text that makes the whole thing insane. Double the life stakes with each flip.
Yeah.
So the first flip is 1 life. The second flip is 2 life. The third flip is 4 life, 8, 16, 32.
And I'd like to point out that this is actually not just damage, which I would get, but this is life drain in red. But I mean, like, maybe, it might be the opponent gaining life, but still. And I have a quick question. What is happening in this art?
The guy's flipping a coin or watching a coin get flipped.
Yes, but is he leaning over it? He looks like he's like straddling a table.
Yeah, I think he's crouched down really low in a chair. Like really low.
Okay. And where's the other guy?
He was rolling a d6 and it fell off the table and he's looking over.
Oh yeah, he's bent over like, where did that, somebody seen that?
Yeah. But I thought this one could possibly be mythic because it escalates very quickly. And it has a like, oh, what's going to happen? If you keep going by like the third or fourth flip, someone is about to lose the game, quite possibly. So,
yeah, I don't know, but I had it open as a talking point.
Okay, what do you think about Chaos Lord, real quick?
Oh, Chaos Lord? No, Chaos Lord's just a dumb creature. But
okay, again, no offense taken. I knew that it might be like, heh. So, well, what is one?
How about you guys with the Chaos Lord? Any input there?
It's okay.
Meh.
Okay.
So what about the Game of Chaos?
If I was absolutely required to pick one, I guess that might be it.
Okay.
Neat.
And it's because of the big, wacky, flashy effect. This can be an interesting way as a last-ditch way to pump a bunch of life into another player if you and them have an agreement and you're okay with leaving the game. Because no one will lose until after it's finished resolving. And that means after the last player who won has decided, okay, we can stop now.
So if I'm about to lose anyway, and I really don't want Mike to win, so I tell Chewie, we're going to play a game of Chaos. And once we're over 30 life, the next time that you win, we'll stop.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Nobody loses when they hit 0?
The spell's
Not in the middle
still
of the spell resolving.
Yeah.
But the life changes, it says.
Yeah, but the spell hasn't finished resolving.
Oh my god. So you could be at like -30 and trying to roll again.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you won the flip and somehow won the last flip and are still at -30, like I said, there has to be an agreement between both players to keep it rolling into that degenerate situation.
Well,
because otherwise you're just going to say,
yeah, it's going to be like, no, we're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you asshole.
Man, do I have one of these still? I'm going to have to put this in a deck just to play it against Brian.
I don't know whether to be upset or giddy at that prospect. But what is a red card someone else thinks is a mythic or could possibly be a mythic? And if you say Martin Stronghold, I'm going to actually disagree with you violently.
Okay, one, Martin Stromgald is awesome. Well, no, he's not. He's not mythic. Although I do love this guy. Because he can make your entire army huge without trying. It's insane. But yeah, he's not. I don't think he's mythic.
But what is a card that people actually do think might be mythic? I mentioned Node Jocklehops before, and people were like, maybe. So does anybody have a thought about that?
So, how do you actually say this? Is it like yokel hops?
I say yokel helps.
Okay. So it costs 4 red for a sorcery that says destroy all artifacts, creatures, and lands. They can't be regenerated. Like, the only thing it doesn't touch back then was enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it would be enchantments and planeswalkers. And that, the fact that it blows up creatures and lands is, well, it's kind of a big deal. But I don't know if it's mythic big deal. I never did understand this card. I used to see it in lists, and I'm like, why would you play that?
Just as a reset, and sometimes there was a point to it not getting rid of enchantments.
Yeah, that's true. You get out a couple of those bizarre enduring renewal style game-winning enchantments, and then you just sit on it.
Yeah, I remember I used to play a couple copies in my Goblin deck because, all my creatures cost 1 and 2. So I would sandbag some stuff in my hand, yokel helps, and then I'd be the only one playing stuff the next couple turns, and I'd finish the game that way.
Oh, God, I remember what this is for.
What?
One of the worst decks that I ever saw in an old Inquest that has Inquest. By the way, we keep referencing it. It was an old magazine about collectible card games, primarily Magic.
Yeah. See, magazines were these, I don't know how you describe it. These
they were
collections of
websites that were printed out on paper.
They were glued together.
And they would come out monthly.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I saw yokel hops and like Zern Orb and things like that in a deck with Zer's Weirding. So you cast yokel hops. You respond by sacking all of your lands to gain 2 life apiece. And then you sit on Zer's Weirding and deny your opponent anything ever.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a dick move. And I saw that in an Inquest, and like I read the little write-up, and I started to twitch, and I blocked it from memory until just now. Thanks, you guys. Anyway, so what do you think? Just another sweeper? I mean, it does cost 6, and it is symmetrical, and it's not like you can even build up artifact mana because nope, it's gone. Yeah, okay, it's probably fine. It is an important talking point, though. As far as like, well, okay, I don't know about Mythic, but this is one of the most brutal hate cards I've ever seen as Anarchy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is pretty rough.
For 2 red, sorcery, destroy all white permanents. I'm sorry, what? Like,
oh yeah,
we talked about this a long time ago. I don't remember what the episode was, but hate cards back in the day were bad.
They didn't play around. Yeah.
Like
a lot of them just said, target player stops playing.
Yeah, they were actual hate cards, as opposed to these days where a hate card is just like a moderate annoyance.
Yeah.
Just a piece of tech against a certain strategy.
Yeah.
These are pieces of tech against the strategy of playing Magic cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually there's another one, the Curse of Merit Lodge. Another red card. When it enters the battlefield, tap all islands. Islands don't untap.
Yep.
Thank you for playing Magic. Stop it. Anyway.
Well, I mean, as recently as like what 8th edition, they printed Boil and
Jesus.
Choke and yeah. So, anything else in red, or can we move on to the more fertile grounds of green?
There was one more in red that I don't think it's mythic. It's really crazy. The Brand of Ill Omen.
Okay.
For 3 in a red with cumulative upkeep of red. It's an enchant creature, which is why it's not mythic. But it's an enchant creature that says enchanted creature's controller can't cast creature spells.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and it has a cumulative upkeep
thank goodness.
of a red, which
and back
for some
then,
reason
creatures weren't good anyway, so big
Oh
whoop.
darn!
But if you didn't have some kind of crazy deck, if you were playing like a normal, and you guys know what I mean when I say normal, if you were playing a normal deck, you had creatures in it, and that was the way you intended to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a weird card. You brand one of their creatures and no one else will come help. Oh my god. But okay. Green then.
I actually had a harder time with green than red.
Green was really hard.
The only one I have on my list that I felt good about was Watigo.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And even still, I'm not like, yay, but I just didn't think any of the others. Watigo for 3 and 3 green is a 0/0 Yeti. It enters the battlefield with 6+1/+1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a +1/+1 counter on it if it has blocked or been blocked since your last upkeep. Otherwise, you remove a +1/+1 counter from it. So you got to get in there for combat. Either attack with it and have it blocked, or it's got to block something. Otherwise, it's going to get smaller, but it's only going to get smaller one at a time. Otherwise, it grows.
Wow.
So it's not that hard to keep it around like 6/6 or 5/5.
Yeah,
And
if
if they're not-
nobody attacked into it the first turn, it was just a 5/5 for 6.
Yeah. Which
Oh.
at the time, holy cow, a 5/5 for 6, that's amazing. And then if they're not blocking it, let's say they want it to shrink down, well, they're going to take 5, and they're going to take 4, and they're going to take 3. That right there, I'm not very good at math, but that's 12 damage. So, or they're blocking it, and chances are things that they're throwing under it are not as big because they're not as mana efficient. So it's only delaying the inevitable, and it's getting bigger, or at least maintaining parity. So I thought it was unique enough. It's a 0/0 that comes in with counters. So that's kind of like, what's going on here? That and the rest of green, I'm just like, yeah. What's something else that could be that I literally have nothing else on my list for green. So what is something else?
Mm-hmm.
Dirk, you're Mr. Green. What's one that you think could be mythic, or at least?
I'm going to see if I actually put anything down. I did not.
Mike?
In terms of cool effects that had never been done before, what do you think about Lurgoyf?
I mean,
maybe at that time.
Maybe? I do remember back in the day Lurgoyf being a thing that I would always hope to draw when I was playing against Scott, because it would be huge, because, we were playing big, dumb creature decks.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And Lurgoyf-like effects were always super exciting for our group, especially since we played games of 4+ people.
Multiplayer.
Yeah.
Well, see, Lurgoyf, Lurgoyf, I think, was a really good creature at that time. So I can see that being the case.
Mm-hmm.
During Ice Age, did people play a lot of creatures?
I don't even remember.
That was weird, because Ice Age was kind of a creature light set on the whole.
Because that's the question of, if it was a creature heavy set, then I could see it potentially leaning in the direction of Mythic. But if it's a creature light set, like what you guys are saying, then it is a cool effect, but it again is not a very powerful effect.
But I mean, like
in the game of Magic, I agree. I think it's a very powerful one.
Sealed was just an iffy format in general and wasn't played all that much. And Constructed Magic had its own weird problems with all kinds of broken cards left over from the first several sets of the game. But if, remembering just the way people played, again, I'm using the word normal, everyday Magic with each other, your deck is full of creatures, and that's how you want to win.
Yeah. So, okay, looking at it as like one of the best, most efficient creatures at the time, which is really sad to say, it is possible that we could make an argument for it to be mythic, but I don't really know if that's how it would have been seen at the time,
Yeah.
like by the designers. Like, yeah, I don't know.
If it had trample.
Oh, well, if it had trample, it'd be somewhat busted. I would like to point out that in this set, in this color, Pale Bears, 2/2 for 3 with Island Walk, and Pygmy Allosaurus, 2/2 for 3 with Swamp Walk,
Dinosaur
were rares. Like, these are the 2 cards that popped to mind outside of the 2 white spells that were commons, maybe uncommons at the time, because Island Walk and Swamp Walk were hard to deal with if they were appropriate. But, I mean, there were just 2/2s with no other ability, so...
I mean, blue had Illusionary Presence, which was a 2/2 illusion that every upkeep you could change its land walk. And that was so strong, it had to have cumulative upkeep. So...
Yeah.
Okay.
But, green had another one of those griefer cards. They had a lot of griefer cards. The Ritual of Subdual. This one costs 4 green for an enchantment with cumulative upkeep 2. And whenever a land is tapped for mana, it makes a colorless instead. A colorless? It just says it produces colorless mana instead of any other type. I guess it's still...
That means it doesn't change the amount.
Okay, so that's still the amount. Okay. Oh, yeah. The ruling down below it actually points that out. Lots of weird mana griefer cards, but that's not mythic. There is a card that I'm glad has never been reprinted, and I don't know how it was ever printed in the first place. Freaking Stunted Growth.
I wondered if that's what you were about to say.
Like, Plow Under was miserable at the time.
Plow Under is awful.
And
it only does 2, right?
It does, Well, it does 2 lands. It does 2 lands.
Oh, okay.
Like
from the battlefield onto your...
Oh, okay. Well, that's way worse. Yeah. Stunted Growth for 3 green sorcery. Target player chooses 3 cards from his or her hand and puts them on top of his or her library in any order. It's a reverse Brainstorm. Like...
Yeah. We were comparing it to Plow Under, which is for
the same cost, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
You take 2 lands and put them on top of their owner's library. So it's different. That sets them back 2 turns in mana development, which is huge. But at least they can play those. If they only have 3 or 4 lands in their hand, and they're trying to get, if they have 3 or 4 cards in their hand, they're trying to draw into lands, and this is 3 more turns that they're not going to. That's awful. So both of those are actually just terrible, awful cards for if you're a human being. But it's not mythic, I don't think.
No.
Stupid jerk card for jerks.
That's exactly what it is. So let's go to
let's
the
keep
gold
moving,
cards then.
It's getting late. So, and
the
Dirk,
gold
are you
cards. Yeah, Dirk, are you alive?
I'm here.
Okay.
That's good enough.
Like, the gold cards are just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are really good, but I had a hard time finding mythics.
I picked Mary Kay Ribera.
Yep.
Yeah. Because she's a legend.
Yeah.
She can get you creatures or steal creatures. It sounds like everybody's in agreement. And then I looked at every gold card and looked at every Oracle text and went next. I looked at skeleton shit for a while because I love it and I think it's cool. And
Ooh, is that a pirate yet? Damn, it's a skeleton.
But I just didn't know if it was mythic. But Mary Kay, I thought, is mythic. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, Brian, what's she do?
Oh, let's go ahead and open up this Oracle text, shall we? All right. For 1 Esper, a white, a blue, and a black. She's a 1/1 human. She also has no job.
Freeloader?
Her job is enticing people. Ooh. She doesn't untap. And in fact, you can't choose to untap her. She just doesn't untap during your tap step. Tap, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Marike. When she leaves the battlefield or becomes untapped, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. So, usually when you see a spell that gains you control of a creature, if somehow you get around that, you get the creature back. Like if you disenchant an enchantment that gains you, like a mind control, woohoo, I get it back. When she's done with you, you're just destroyed. She's like, next. So, was the first commander I ever built, commander deck I ever built, so it's got a soft spot in my heart. So I'm biased, but it sounds like you guys agreed with me. So
yeah, the fact that she takes something which had been done before in I think Legends with Rubinia Soulsinger.
Yeah, and also Rubinia Soulsinger is the most direct comparison. But even like Old Man of the Sea in Arabian Nights,
right. But like when the gimme that effect wore off, they just got it back, right?
yes.
But with this one, you gimme that, and then if anything happens to her, it dies. And there were cards like I don't remember if it's Innervate or Infuse. I think it's Infuse.
Yeah.
That untaps a creature.
Infuse. Mm-hmm.
There was Twiddle. Twiddle was the big one.
Twiddle, Instill Energy if you want to go 4 colors.
Yeah, because
Jandor Settle. Does Jandor Saddlebags untap creatures?
I don't know that one. But yeah, you could manipulate her and whatnot. But again, even without manipulation, she stole something and then killed it, which is really just by 3 colors and tapping, which again, creatures were bad at the time, so that's nuts to have a creature that did all that. But like Altar of Bone sounds neat, but it's not. For a white and a green sorcery, sack a creature. Well, let me read the Oracle text. Sacrifice a creature is an additional cost. You search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand. So it's like a not broken insert other green card that does crazy crap.
Mm-hmm.
There was Storm Spirit, I remember, because it tapped to deal 2 damage to something, but it cost 3 and a freaking Bant. So it costs 6 mana for a 3/3 flyer that double pinged something. Ugh.
It only shoots creatures.
Oh, and it only shoots creatures too. So the closest other one that I had was Stormbind, but that's just because it was a thing back in the day. And I don't think it's good. Like, for 1 a red and a green, it's an enchantment, and you pay 2 mana and discard a card at random to deal 2 damage to target creature or player. But that's still not great. It's just, it was a thing. And it was on the time shifted cheat. Mike, Modern Legal, go get him.
Pew pew.
So, artifacts then?
Yeah.
Artifacts and lands.
Like, because we're done in gold, right? Because they're really colorful and splashy and lame and terrible.
I had a couple here that I had question marks. I had no, yes. But from the top, I had Amulet of Quaz.
Anti-card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I didn't know if that completely disqualified it.
I don't know. I think that gives it a point.
Ah. So,
I
for
just
6
saw
mana,
anti-card and didn't read it.
for 6 mana, it's an artifact. You remove it from your deck if you're not playing for anti. Tap and sack it. Target opponent may ante the top card of his or her library. If he or she doesn't, you flip a coin. If you win the flip, that player loses the game. If you lose the flip, you lose the game. Activate this ability only during your upkeep. So basically, you look at the opponent and you say, do you want to ante another card? And if they say yes, the game just continues. Except now they have the potential to lose another card at the end of the game. If they say no, we're going to keep it where it is, then someone is about to win based on a coin flip. And it has no mana to activate. You can
4 judges bum rush the table and physically throw you out of the venue.
Between the fact that it is anti, the fact that it's an alternative resolution to the game.
Yeah.
Yes. But the fact that, you can play this on turn 6 and activate it immediately.
No, only during your upkeep.
Oh, thank you. But still, it costs no mana to activate. So
I just love that the Amulet of Quaz is this really derpy face.
all-powerful golden artifact that decides the beginning, the end of the game. What do you look like?
Hey, God!
Hey, God. Maybe they see the amulet and they're like, oh, God, let's just get this over with.
And it's weird because when you think about who did it, Dan Frazier, they had to, okay, we need a cool piece of jewelry. Let's give it to Dan, see what he gives back to us. They get the art back. Damn it, Dan.
Tell you what, make that stupid anti-card an amulet and we'll just do this. Go for it. Okay. What else you got, Brian?
Any thoughts as far as that one before we go on?
An anti-card. Brain reflex.
Yeah, if they wanted to do the thing where, they sometimes put a card at rare because it's way too narrow and they don't want it showing up a lot. Maybe they would have put anti-cards at Mythic because they're super de-duper narrow and they don't want them showing up a lot.
Oh.
You really, really, really don't want them showing up in limited.
So wait, was Temerian Fiends an uncommon? It must have been. Because it's not in the rares.
Okay.
Was that in the set?
Oh no, that was in Homelands. Excuse me.
Okay, that's what I thought.
My bad. My bad.
I have put down Crown of the Ages, but now I'm not sure. So, Glacial Chasm I had as Mythic. Dirk, you like that?
Chasm.
He did say Chasm. Yeah.
Yeah? Isn't that how you pronounce that?
No.
Chasm?
Yeah.
Chasm.
You're missing the H. Cool whip. Whip.
Why are you emphasizing the H in chasm?
What, you don't like how I'm pronouncing chasm? Hey Mike, what does Glacial Chasm say? Like, you're familiar with this card, so.
Yes. I took a goofy game deck to an FNM with this card in at one time. It was very silly. So Glacial Chasm is a land. It has a cumulative upkeep cost of pay 2 life. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice a land. Creatures you control can't attack. Here's the payoff. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. Oh, this was actually uncommon.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Huh. I don't know how
it was
I feel
in
about
Realms as a mythic, of course.
that. Okay.
And then in Masters Edition 2 is rare on Magic Online.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
This just, the fact that it basically says you can't lose the game, almost.
Yeah. Neener. Haha.
If you think Illusions of Grandeur gets you an extra turn, this is probably even safer than Illusions of Grandeur because it's a land and because it literally says all damage dealt to you is reduced to 0. And if you lose this for whatever reason, you're not set back. You're in exactly the same state you were before you had it. So, which I guess is the same as Illusions of Grandeur, but anyway. So, I also had Naked Singularity, which I know Chewie mentioned before in context with what was it?
Reality Twist. Ritual of Subdual.
Yeah.
Naked Singularity.
This one I had here because it's colorless to cast. It's an artifact, so it's not one of these that switches colors around, except, this does all the colors because it's not blue. So for 5, it's an artifact cumulative upkeep of 3, generic. If tapped for mana, plains produce red, islands produce green, swamps produce white, mountains produce blue, and forests produce black instead of any other type.
So wait, is there
Jeez.
Is there rhyme or reason to this? Is it just rotated twice?
Think so.
Yeah, because they go around. So
neat.
Yeah. So, but I don't. I had it down here as a question mark. I think Amulet probably, depending on how you feel about Anti. I think Glacial Chasm, I think could be. Crown of the Ages, I'm like, Naked Singularity, I'm like, probably not now. And the last one I had was Jester's Cap. Not to be confused with Jester's Mask.
Yeah, one was really stupid at the time, and one was just stupid at the time.
Those were the ones that I had. I know it's getting on, so Dark, what did you have for artifacts?
I didn't pick any.
Okay.
Because the only ones that I could see as potential would be the land cards that, like Sulphurous Springs. Those are the ones I thought, those are potentials. But I don't think at this point. I think in reality they're just rares. Because aren't there Sulphurous Springs and Underground River? All that stuff's rare at this point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
they have been reprinted as lately as 10th edition as rare, yes.
Now, I think
that
at
was
the time,
before
like, these were really special because, like, dual lands weren't a thing except for the dual lands, right, Mike?
The dual lands, yeah.
Like, the lands producing multiple colors of mana was just not a thing, really.
Yeah, it was just the dual lands, and then these came around as, like, depowered versions of those.
Yeah, more fair dual lands.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Ice Age also had a rare cycle of even more depowered versions of these.
Yeah,
Oh my
Velt
God.
and the rest.
Uh-huh.
The depletion counter ones. Yeah, those guys.
Land cap and lava tubes.
Yeah, those were...
They're also in this set.
Okay, maybe not bad, but they're not good.
Because unlike the other ones, these actually, the depletion counter means that at some point they
don't untap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those ones that were later that said they just don't untap next turn.
Yeah, those ones from Champions of Kamigawa.
Yeah. Except
they could also tap for colorless.
Right. And
you had no choice with these.
For some reason, they didn't figure out you could just say it doesn't untap next turn, and they put counters on it. I don't know. It's a little weird. I agree with the Jester's Cap, because the Jester's Cap was unheard of. This is another one of those, we have done something new, look what we have done, this is ridiculous. So Jester's Cap costs 4, and for 2 tap and sacrifice it, you search target player's library for 3 cards and exile them. That player shuffles. Which, these days, they still do stuff like this occasionally here and there. But this was the first time, to my knowledge, that you'd ever been able to go into an opponent's deck and remove their win condition. Right? Mike?
Yes. Yes.
We're pretty sure. And this was another one of those cards that was just always in a deck. It was like Jester's Cap and Icy Manipulator. We're just in every deck because it was colorless, and it was essentially a middle finger to your opponent. And we're like, well, you thought you were going to win this way, but you're not. And I think that since it was the first of its kind and it was colorless, I would put that at Mythic because that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, everybody else seems to have gotten quiet.
Well, I agree. So I didn't have anything to add on top of that.
Fair enough. Okay, then. Well, that was easy. The Jester's Mask is really weird.
We've established that one.
So for 5 mana, it enters tapped, and then for 1 tap and sack it, target opponent puts the cards from his or her hand on top of his or her library. You search that player's library for that many cards and put them in their hand, essentially. So it was a switcheroo with what's in their hand and cards that you hand selected. I don't know if that one would be Mythic because it's... I don't know.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's possible, I guess, since it's just more thumbing through your opponent's deck and messing with them.
Yeah, like, that wasn't a thing that happened back then. You didn't touch your opponent's deck except to cut it at the beginning, and that's only if you had learned that was a thing you did. I nominate Ice Cauldron as a Mythic because it's got too damn much text.
Yeah, that was one of my reasons.
And also, I think once you figure it out, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's got so much text.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that's actually, once you get what it actually does, it's not very hard to understand at all. It just needs all of those words to actually work within the confines of the game.
Yeah, and even before that, it needed all that to work back then too.
Mhm.
Like this, if this doesn't have the smallest font on any card, then I'm amazed. Any non-silver bordered card.
It does. I have to check on Tackle Maggot real quick. Let's see.
God, Tackle Maggot. I love that guy. So what Ice Cauldron does is you pay X, tap it, put a charge counter on it, exile a non-land card from your hand, and you can cast it for as long as it remains exiled. And it says, note the type and amount of mana spent to pay this activation cost, the X. And you can only do this if there are no charge counters on it. So whatever, you're dropping something into the Ice Cauldron and freezing it. And you have to pay attention to the amount of mana that's on it.
And
that
the
it,
color.
that it costs.
Yeah. Right.
And then you tap it and remove a charge counter to get all that mana back to cast the card that you exiled.
So you're allowing yourself to cast it later.
Yeah, like you're giving up tempo now to get massive tempo later.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
can like drop, I think this works, Mike. Can you drop like a 10 cost fireball in it?
Yeah, and then cast a 15 cost fireball later. Yeah.
Right. Because you can also, there's nothing that says
Yeah,
that
you can
the
do partial
mana,
payments.
yeah, there's nothing saying that the mana that you spend on to activate it initially is the only mana you can use to cast it later. So
Yeah, so you can, tap it, pay 3, and put your Chaos Lord on it, and then later you can use that 3 mana and 4 more that you get from somewhere else to actually play the Chaos Lord.
yeah, so you can actually jump way ahead with this. Tap, pay 5 mana, exile something that costs 10. Next turn, untap, tap this and remove the charge counter to get 5 mana. Tap your lands for 5 more mana. Seems pretty good, actually. I think I did what I think it sounds like we've all done in at least one color, which is look at the text, go, and kept going.
Yeah.
I swore that I had looked at it, but I'm definitely thinking it's Mythic, so.
And I mean, now that we've actually spelled out what it does, it's possible that it's totally Mythic. Just because it's really powerful if you can figure out how to use it. Huh. All right, then. So what else have we got in artifacts?
Okay, to follow up on something from earlier.
Uh-oh.
So Ice Cauldron has 11 lines of text in the box. Tackle Maggot just has 10. It looks like the font may be the same size, but the spacing between the lines on Ice Cauldron is tighter.
Tackle Maggot, I love you.
I know that Tackle Maggot can't be reprinted because its Oracle text will not physically fit on a card, period.
Yeah, I don't think Ice Cauldron's
And I
either.
think Ice Cauldron's the same way.
Well, there's some trivia for you guys. So what else do we have in artifacts or lands or colorless stuff in general? Anything, or have we beaten this horse until it's no longer a horse?
I no longer recognize this horse as in fact a horse. It was amazing at one point.
It
but
was. It was a shame. Mike, you sounded like you might have a thing.
Elkin Bottle, possibly.
I have Elkin Bottle open as a possibly.
But I'm not completely convinced.
Me
So
either.
Elkin Bottle, Oracle text, cost 3. It's an artifact. Pay 3 and tap it. Exile the top card of your library. Until the beginning of your next upkeep, you may play that card.
It's sort of like the red version of card draw. Well, one of Red's versions of card draw that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like on one of the Chandras, where exile this card and you can cast it.
This turn, yeah.
Which Chandra was that on? Yeah.
The one that cost 4, that was her middle ability. It was a 0. Can't remember her name.
Pyromaster. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a really old version of that Chandra Pyromaster ability, which it was neat,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe,
Yeah.
probably not, maybe not,
Maybe not.
maybe not. I would like a special shout out for Time Bomb, because for 4 mana, it's an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you put a time counter on it. And then for 1 tap and sack it, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to each creature and each player. It's an actual straight up time bomb that just sits there and ticks. And I love it. I think it's hilarious and flavorful and will backfire and kill you.
That's a really cheap activation cost.
And it's only one and tap and sack. But the fact that you have to like leave it there forever for it to matter more than, you know, as a board sweeper or something makes it almost certainly not mythic, but it's hilarious. But anyway, so it sounds like we're all exhausted and almost about to pass out. So how about we wrap it up and say Ice Age is very weird and we are colored by dumbness.
A little bit.
So how about some final thoughts then, Dirk?
This is a weird set.
And these are just the rares, dude. Don't ever go through and look through all the other stuff or your brain will melt out your ears.
Yeah, I am kind of glad that the oldest cards I have that let me clarify, the oldest cards that I bought I think was Judgment Block. If I have some Ice Age cards, I either traded for them or between Devin and one or two other people who were saying, I have these cards, I don't want them anymore, I'm going to throw them in the trash. Oh, you want them? Sure, here you go. There's the other way I might have gotten some Ice Age cards. So, and I don't think any of those cards are ever going to show up in my stuff. They're sitting in a box. But weird set. There are some things in here that are pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff in here you just sort of look at and go, okay, and just move on.
Just never you mind.
So, but that's my final. With that, I bid everyone a good night.
Adios.
Night, Zerk.
And
Well, how about you, B? You sound like you're also about to pass out.
I'm doing a little better, I think, than he is, but you know, I'm a little tired too. I had mentioned some of this before the show, so hey, if you get odds and ends, then you might have heard this. But my family went to Disney World, and we all had a fantastic time, and we got to see the new Pandora section in Animal Kingdom, and it was really interesting. I gotta say, I think this was a really smart move on James Cameron's part, because as amazing as Avatar was, it came out in 2009, and I don't know too many people that have been waiting for 8 years for the sequels to come out and been on bated breath for that. But this certainly is a way of keeping people interested and excited for the world that he created and anything that comes next. So I thought it was really cool. Had a good time. Don't really have a whole lot else to report. And yeah, Ice Age is definitely weird, but I thought this was an interesting one where, yes, a lot of this stuff was weird and bad, but kind of like Ice Cauldron, when you read some of it through, it can be really interesting. And even the first one we started with, which was Enduring Renewal, is not a bad card as long as you build with it properly. And I think we've given Mike about 10 ideas for modern decks, which is funny because Ice Age, you know. But yeah, so good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice. And for those interested, Avatar 2, according to IMDb, is set to come out in 2020. So, you know, just 2 more, well, the end of 2020. So, hey, just 3 more years, man.
We'll get there.
Okay, then.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night. I will be heading out as well.
Night,
Take care.
Also, you missed a Sam quiz, Mike.
yeah, I got that impression from reading the first few messages in the chat when I logged on.
Yeah. So, before we get caught up in not odds and ends, how about your final thoughts, sir?
Final thoughts. Like Chewie mentioned earlier, looking back at Ice Age put me in the mindset of, 10, 11, 12-year-old Mike, whenever that was. And it was, a lot of these difficult to understand cards were rare, so I didn't come across them very much. way back then, because I didn't buy cards very often. I was mostly just scrounge stuff that my friends were willing to give away and find things in, the 10-cent boxes. But some of the wordiness gave them a lot of extra character, and that was part of what really drew me into the game. The character of it, and sometimes the little story encased in each individual card. And even though they look really dumb and clunky now, it just made it really attractive to a new player who could be taken in by the fantasy setting and the atmosphere that the game was trying to set up, and I think succeeded at.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have to commend the early designs for that, for the stories that some of the individual cards were able to tell.
I was always curious what was up with General Jarkeld. Just because, like, in his card, it looks like he's been kidnapped or captured and is sitting there, like, gagged and bound, and yet he's still the general and he's still swapping blocking creatures.
That's what it looks like too, but sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, is it just a weird angle shot of him from the back with his hands clasped behind his back, like thinking about something? I don't know. I can't tell. I know you can tell from the flavor text in some other cards that he was the leader of some kind of legion or expeditionary force that came to a bad end. So maybe it is showing him captured, but yeah, it's weird. It's just a really weird shot of him in the art.
It is. The Gamepedia page about him is very short. Mm-hmm. General Jarkeld, known as the Arctic Fox, was a military commander for Keldor during Dominaria's Ice Age. Although they were trained by Fentorn elves, Jarkeld and his troops perished in the Adarkar wastes. And he's quoted or referred to on, well, let's see. There's General Jarkeld. There's the Lost Order of Jarkeld.
Mm-hmm. I guess should we have been calling him Yarkeld this whole time?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
And then he's referenced on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 other cards.
Yeah.
Because it says he's a big part of the story, but unless you happen to run across all of these cards, then you don't know. Like, but yeah, just throwing that out there as an addition to what Mike was saying about getting sucked into what we would now refer to as the flavor, which I don't think we called it that back then.
No.
I wonder when that term started to mean that sort of thing. I think it was always called flavor text, though. So maybe... Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I'm not coming up with much when I try to remember a time when I knew it as some other term besides flavor text. Maybe I probably would have called it story text or something like that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway. So what else then?
That was it for now.
Fair enough. I'm sorry, I'm now reading the flavor text on all these cards. Like on Pygmy Allosaurus, there's flavor text by the general. It says, I don't understand the appeal of keeping these things as pets, unless you want your children eaten. His last words are on Rally. Stand your ground, troops. This shall be our finest hour. So he wasn't captured and killed, I don't think, because those were his last words. So clearly he died in some sort of amazing battle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I've now read all of these cards. It's never spelled out what happened. Most of these quotes are just like bits of wisdom or him telling stories about back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
A good tarpan will serve you, faithful and true. A bad one will kick you in the head. Someone once said that Hyperions are to warriors what Aesthir are to Sky Knights. Don't believe it. He even has the flavor text on Lightning Blow, that terrible common that's a rare. If you do it right, they'll never know what hit them. But yeah, no specifics about what actually happened. On the Lost Order of Jarkeld, the flavor text is, let us remember brave Jarkeld and his troops, who perished in the Adarkar wastes so long ago. And that's by Halvor Aronson, Kildoran Priest. So I don't know. That's weird. And that's just one of those things. And we don't know. And they're not going to tell us. And that's fine. Like, that's cool that's a thing that we just don't know. That's
Yeah.
neat. Make up your own story. Who was he fighting? I bet he got smashed by Fentorn brownies. Yep. Anyway, moving on. Keep going. What else you got? Anything else?
I guess since he's a white creature, you can use dreams of the dead to revive him. It'll be a spooky ghost.
Be like, dude, hey, how'd you die? What happened? Dude, damn it, someone bounced him and he exiled himself. So is that it for you then, sir?
It is.
All right. I would like to begin my final thoughts by thanking the following exceedingly generous patrons. There are a couple new names on here, too. Kim Ho, Andrew Hunt, Al, Paul David. That's a new name. Hey, would you like for me to refer to you as something else? Please let me know. Lance Delicious, Timu Hellas Haryu, John Morris, Stuart Slaw. He got back to me.
Nice.
PJ McMullen, Bosco Bertain, who still hasn't gotten back to me. Casey, Nathan Hay, AJ Javieres, Cody Buckawing, Jacob Janssens, Jason Kaus, Gothic Man, Patrick, Brian DeLucci, Stark Maximum, Dan Holm, Mike Miller-Burned, and the Beast Father, Aaron Goodwine. Thank you all so very much, and we really appreciate it. So, with that, you can track us down anywhere on the internet that we are. We are the Mana Pool. So on Twitter, @the Mana Pool, on Facebook.com/the Mana Pool. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/the Mana Pool, where I've been playing Cuphead and desperately loving every minute of it. I have another video went public today as of this recording. I have 2 more that I have to edit because I record in batches of 3 because that's how long the camera battery lasts, it turns out. Hey, how about that? I love it so much. You guys. Oh my god. Or I guess it's just you now, Mike. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I watched number 4 yesterday evening. It was good.
It's so good. And I don't suck at it, which helps. I slowly, and sometimes not so slowly, figure out what I'm doing. I think I beat Hildeberg on second attempt? That's insane to me. So yeah, it's pretty good. Also, I'm going to be doing more of the Lich King fights. I've only got 3 left, but I haven't had time to devote to potentially spending an hour or more on one video because time has been crunched lately. But that will be the next thing I do is record Lich King. I think Priest. I think I'm going to go Priest. I think that's what I should do. Because people have told me to save it to last, so I'm going to do it next just to spite them. Or to spite myself, since people tell me it's really hard. So... and of course, both podcasts go up on YouTube. If you didn't know that, hey, both podcasts go up on YouTube. If that helps you, you should check out the YouTube channel because they go up a day or 2, depending on when I have to drive or other things. They go up a day or 2 after the show goes public. Like Monday Night Magic goes up. I try to have it up on Tuesday afternoon. If not, it goes up on Wednesday. So yeah. But that's youtube.com/the Mana Pool. And I also stream over on twitch.tv/the Mana Pool, where I've been streaming Overwatch because there was an event, but the event is over, or at least it will be by the time you're hearing this, if it's not over now. So I can go back to streaming other things. I played some Hearthstone a couple weeks ago. I'll be doing that again probably tomorrow night, I guess. Although if you're listening to this not on early access, then but I have another free arena ticket, for the dual class arena, so might as well. Mike actually went 12-2 with a dual class arena, which was freaking sick.
Yeah. It got pretty nerve-wracking near the end. Like when I won the game, I was at 1 life.
And that was your first 12 win, right?
Yeah, that's the first one I've ever done.
That's awesome. I haven't gotten 12 wins either. That's just not a thing. I think I've gotten 10 a few times, but I don't think I've ever cracked 11, much less 12.
I think before that, the highest I'd ever gotten was 7, and that was only once in a very long time ago.
Yeah, dude. So, turns out Mike might know what he's doing sometimes.
Sometimes.
And of course, all of the arena players in Hearthstone are like, psh, I get 12 wins all the time. Well, good for you.
I believe you.
I don't, but I love people who are like, my average is 10. Your average is 6. Don't lie. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I know for a while they were posting like highest average win rate in Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And like the top was like an 8 or 9 or something. Like the first time they did it, it was Kripparrian at the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a double-digit number. So he was like, yeah, I average like 8. No, you don't. You just don't. But anyway, that's Hearthstone. Yeah, I'll be streaming more Hearthstone, more other things. I've got a whole mess of stuff I want to play over on Twitch. I just have to figure out, when and where and what. And also, second weekend in November, almost certainly on Friday and on Sunday, I'll be doing this, but most specifically on Saturday, myself and Cap from the Lair of Lore will be doing a 2-stream charity stream. So he and I are going to be both streaming, both playing games together for Take This charity. Details to come. We've got 12 assloads of games to give away. We're going to figure out how to give them away, mostly Steam games that we have accumulated over the months and years or whatever. And yeah, come give money to charity, potentially get free stuff. It'll be awesome. Hang out, laugh at us, whatever. But that is November 11th for sure. Probably the 9th and 12th too, for myself at least, going solo, just to keep the charity campaign going,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hell yeah. And of course, if you want to help support what I do with all of the podcast videos and YouTube... Wait, no, the podcast... Lord have mercy. The 2 podcasts a week, the YouTube videos and the Twitch streaming. There we go.
There are podcast videos.
There are, yeah. I just talked about those. They don't take any effort, though. It's just, other than creating a thumbnail to put on the video, they're not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can check out the Patreon at patreon.com/themanapool, where you can get stuff early, YouTube videos and Manapool episodes. You can get the early stuff and the odds and ends, all the stuff recorded before and after both Monday Night Magic and the Manapool, that are uncensored and unfiltered. And go up within a week, usually, of the actual episode going up. I posted 3 today because I didn't realize that I had missed the previous week's Monday Night Magic. But last week was a god-awful mess. So last night after I got done streaming, I spent an hour and a half getting them all ready to listen to. So today I listened through them in rapid fire, posted them all. So yay. And if you want, you can get the early stuff, the odds and ends, and get your name on the end slate for each video that goes up during that month, and have your name read off on both podcasts. So thank you all so very much for all of your support. I really do appreciate it. And with that, we'll be done. So yeah, this has been the Manapool number 485. Thank you all so very much for listening, and go play some Magic. Just don't spend a lot of time reading Ice Age cards.